It is said this might be the most satisfying way to die, stuffing stacks of money into a man's mouth one bill after another, until he is literally choked to death. And what's even more shocking is the truth hidden behind this murder. That night, people all across South Korea received the same message on their phones, and the message read, National Death Penalty Vote. The person being voted on was exactly this man, and whether he should be executed or not would be decided by the entire nation. Soon after that, a video appeared on everyone's phone, and in the video a man wearing a dog mask appeared on the screen. He calmly said the video was not mandatory to watch, and anyone who didn't want to see it could simply press the X in the corner to close it. After introducing himself, he began listing the crimes committed by the man. This guy had been making money by selling illegal child exploitation videos online, and the total amount involved reached nearly 2 billion won. Countless children had their bodies and minds destroyed, yet after he was arrested he only served 1 year and 6 months in prison. All because he wrote a long letter of reflection, and the court even stated that he was married and the head of his family, so in the end he was released in less than 2 years. When the man saw this nationwide death penalty vote targeting him, he simply laughed. He even told everyone around him to vote for his execution.
오빠, 그러다 진짜 사형되면.
야, 내가 강간을 했냐, 애들을 죽였냐? 놀라고 판 깔아준 것뿐인데 왜 나한테만 지랄이냐고, 비응신 새끼들이!
And then suddenly grabbed the phone of the woman sitting next to him, pressing the button agreeing to the death penalty without hesitation.
야, 죽여봐! 죽일 수 있으면 죽여봐! 사형!
Very soon, the voting results appeared, and 84% of the nation voted in favor of executing him. When the man opened his eyes again, he found himself in a dimly lit room filled with candles. His clothes had been stripped off, leaving only his pants, and at that moment the man wearing the dog mask walked in. At first he thought it was just a prank from the people around him, so he shouted angrily and demanded that the masked man release him. But when the dog-masked man showed him the national voting result, he was completely stunned. He had thought it was just a joke, yet it turned out to be real.
너 뭐야?
Before he could even understand what was happening, the masked man took out a tool and forced his mouth open. Then he began stuffing money into his mouth again and again, saying that if he loved money so much, then he should eat as much as he wanted. In the end, the man was literally stuffed to death. When the police arrived at the scene, they were confronted with a horrifying sight. The man's mouth was packed full of banknotes. His neck had been stretched almost an entire circle wider, and money was scattered all over the floor. It wasn't difficult to guess where the money came from. Most likely it was the same money he earned from selling those illegal videos. Yet strangely, the scene contained almost no evidence of the crime. In the video, the masked man continued explaining that since the law was imperfect and could not make criminals pay the price they deserved, he would personally carry out justice because of the cruel legal system protecting offenders. On the 15th and the 30th of every month at 10 o'clock at night, he would launch a nationwide death penalty vote. All citizens over the age of 18 could participate, and as long as the approval vote exceeded 50%, the execution would be carried out immediately. The targets of these votes would be criminals who committed terrible crimes but managed to escape legal punishment.
제가 여러분의 충실한 워치독이 되어 그자들을 감시하고 목도의 미를 물겠습니다.
After the dog-masked man finished speaking, the video came to an end. This incident immediately caused a nationwide uproar, and many people even began treating the dog-masked man like a god. In a society where justice often fails to be properly carried out, his appearance gave hope to those who never received fair judgment. Soon after that, the police formed a special task force, because the dog-masked man had already said that he would broadcast nationwide on the 15th and 30th of every month, which meant that 2 people would be voted on each month. The officer in charge of the case was Detective Kim Moo-chon, played by Park Hae-jin. The drama also stars Lim Ji-yeon, whose role as Park Yeon-jin in The Glory left a very strong impression on viewers. The Killing Vote is adapted from a webtoon of the same name, and the story revolves around a mysterious man wearing a dog mask. He targets criminals who committed terrible crimes but escaped legal punishment, and through a mobile voting app sent to the entire nation, citizens decide whether those criminals deserve death. If the vote in favor of execution exceeds 50%, he personally carries out the punishment. This eventually triggers a fierce conflict between the tyranny of the majority, procedural justice, and social justice. Alright, without further delay, let's begin the main story. Joo Hyun is a cybercrime police officer, and although she is a woman, her investigative ability is no weaker than any male officer. She often goes undercover to infiltrate criminal groups, and for example, while cracking down on online crimes, she once disguised herself as a livestream host. By doing so, she successfully infiltrated an illegal streaming organization, and with the help of Kim Moo-chon, they managed to capture the entire criminal operation. That was also the first time the two of them met. From her colleagues, she later learned that Kim Moo-chon hated criminals deeply, and although he was extremely capable, he often used unconventional methods when dealing with suspects. Even though he solved many major cases, he also gained the reputation of someone willing to do anything for promotion. One day, her younger sister's computer was infected with a virus, and using her professional skills, Joo-hyun quickly removed it. However, during the process, she accidentally discovered a video, and the person in the video was the dog-masked man. It turned out that, in order to test the stability of the national death penalty voting app, he had hacked into several people's computers beforehand. Her sister's computer just happened to become one of those test targets. But this video unexpectedly gave Joo-hyun an important breakthrough. One sentence spoken by the masked man caught her attention, and that sentence was, "Innocent demon." She immediately showed the video to Captain Kim. 8 years earlier during a court trial, a father had once said those exact same words. His 8-year-old daughter had been assaulted and then stabbed 22 times to death. Yet in the end, the main suspect was released due to lack of evidence. As a law professor, he completely lost faith in the legal system that day, so he chose to avenge his daughter in his own way. On a stormy night, he found the suspect and stabbed him the same 22 times. The officer in charge of that case was Captain Kim, and he personally witnessed the entire scene. Before the father was sentenced, he left behind that exact sentence. "Innocent demon." But the father is still in prison now, so it seems impossible for him to be the killer. The next day, Joo-hyun went to the prison to investigate, and from other inmates she learned about a man known as the Professor. Almost every prisoner knew the phrase, "innocent demon," and that professor was exactly the father. He held an extremely high status inside the prison. Not only were the inmates respectful toward him, even the prison warden often asked him for legal advice. When he heard someone had been asking about the phrase, "innocent demon," the professor immediately sensed that something was wrong, so he voluntarily met Joo-hyun in the visiting room. Joo-hyun went straight to the point and asked whether he knew about the national death penalty vote, and surprisingly the professor did not deny it. She then continued explaining that the dog-masked man mentioned the phrase "innocent demon" during the broadcast, and the first person who ever said those words was him. So she asked directly whether there was some kind of connection between him and the killer. However, the professor still avoided giving a clear answer. Joo-hyun speculated that the killer must be someone who was present in that courtroom years ago, because very few people had heard that sentence. She hoped the professor could give the police a possible suspect, someone who might have grown resentful towards society and wanted revenge. But the professor said he could not help with that, because even he did not know who the killer was. However, he gave them a suggestion. Since they could not identify the killer, they should start by investigating the victims instead. Because if the killer had already announced the next date of the crime, that meant the next target had already been chosen. They should try thinking from the killer's perspective and figure out who might become the next target.
그게 누구일지 짐작 가능하단 말씀이세요?
공화라들 귀방합니다.
It was obvious that the professor knew something, but he refused to say any more. Meanwhile, Captain Kim outside the prison heard their entire conversation clearly, and it matched his own theory almost perfectly. Now they could confirm one thing: the dog-masked man must know the professor, and the professor seemed to know him as well, yet he refused to reveal the truth. At the same time, the task force discovered another clue. Cyber police found that the victim's last known location before his death was a nightclub. Captain Kim immediately rushed there with his colleagues, and after some pressure, a waiter finally confessed. Someone had given him money and told him to put the drunk man into a specific taxi. However, he had never met that person, because the instructions were sent entirely through text messages. The message told him where the money was hidden, and what he needed to do. Later, he called a substitute driver to take the man to a mysterious address. Before leaving, Captain Kim burned the illegal money, and although the waiter watched the cash burn with anger and regret, he had no choice because it was illegal money. Later, Captain Kim located the substitute driver, and the driver explained that after delivering the man to the designated place, he received another text message. The message simply said, "glove compartment," and when he opened it, he found an envelope containing his payment. He was surprised by how much money there was, and after that he simply went home. Later he saw the news about the man's death. However, the phone number that sent the message had been illegally purchased, so there was no way to trace the sender. The police then tried to find the taxi, but when they arrived, the vehicle was already being scrapped. Once again, they were one step too late, and it was clear that the entire plan had been arranged by the dog-masked man. The investigation once again reached a dead end, but the killer would not wait for them, because the next national vote was approaching quickly. So Joo-hyun decided to follow the professor's suggestion, and began filtering large amounts of criminal cases through big data. After comparing many similar crimes and unfair verdicts, she finally locked onto a woman named Eun-kyung. Meanwhile, at her sister's school, the students were taking an exam, and after walking around the classroom, the teacher returned to his desk. He opened a mysterious website on the computer, and soon a message appeared from someone called Executor. The message asked a simple question: "Shall we begin?" After thinking for a moment, the teacher typed a single word in reply: "Yes." So who will become the next target of the dog-masked man?
국민 사용 투표의 날이 밝았습니다. 과연 켄타는 자신이 공언한 것처럼 또 다른 범죄를 저지를지 경찰은 이 국가적 범죄에 어느 정도 대비를 하고 있는지 전 국민의 관심과 불안은 시시각각 치솟고 있습니다.